Good. Mark, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Mark, can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay, we're
Can
ready
you hear
whenever
me?
you are. Yep. Ready whenever you are, Mark.
Okay, I'm gonna call the meeting to order. Randy is not there and I'm not there. I'm in Topeka. So my understanding is we need to elect a president pro tempore
Yes,
for
sir.
this evening.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I am open to a motion.
Motion that we elect a president. I would elect Robin to serve this evening as.
Second.
Is there a second?
Yep, we got a second.
Okay, all in favor? And I can't see you right now. All in favor, raise your hand. And I'm raising my hand. I'll say yay.
Okay. Motion passed, Mark.
Okay, Robin, you have it.
Okay, thanks, Mark. A
Yep,
lot.
thank you. You're welcome.
Okay, we will move into the pledge. If you youngsters would like to come up and lead us.
Georgia Matthews is.
Georgia Matthews.
Tonight.
Ready whenever you are.
Okay, start us off.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good job.
Okay. We will move to 60 seconds of silent reflection. Okay. We'll move on to item C, approval of the agenda with the following amendments. C1, additional certified and classified personnel actions for consideration, item E3. C2, add item G10 to new business. The Board of Education is asked to consider and approve the 26-27 open seat capacities for non-resident enrollment.
This is President Pro Tem. I move to approve the meeting agenda as amended.
Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the approval of the agenda with the amendments. All in favor, raise your hand.
Mark.
Aye.
Okay, those opposed, same sign, motion carried. All right, delegations, question and answer, public comments, recognitions, committee reports. We do not have public comment. Do we have any public comment? Yes. Okay. Then item D1, recognition of Garden City High School State Wrestling Champions, Paul Lappin, head coach.
Good evening, everybody. Okay, we're missing a few tonight. Some of our girls had practices and other things going on like work. But this is your two-time defending state championship girls wrestling team. Nicole Abrego was state champion for us. Olivia Dunlap was a two-time state qualifier for us. Aria Cordes, the one giggling over there, is a freshman that took third. Crystal Loetta is a state runner-up this year. Dave Perez, two-time state runner-up. Rena Loetta, now a state champion, and Aaliyah Garza finished third in state. There's Coach Calderon, my head assistant on the girls' side. Big part of the reason why we're up here today is from our coaching staff who put so much time and effort into our kids. This group had a lot work against them this season, but we're able to kind of defy the odds and win a tournament pretty handily that we weren't supposed to. So I was extremely proud of this group and all the work they put in, and we were able to accomplish our goals. That's about all I got. Wait, just go shake. And this 3-1 and stuff.
You don't all have to give me hugs. We have that one that way. Sorry. I just know several.
Stop right here in front of the side.
Turn around.
How's it going? How are you, bud? Good.
1, 2, 3. Hold on. I'm gonna fix this. Just scoot over.
Thanks.
There we go.
There we go. Okay. Ready? 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3. All right, here we go.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, congratulations. Great job.
Good to see you.
Thanks.
Get that.
It's earrings.
Good job.
Good job, guys.
Good job.
Stop.
Good to see you.
Thanks, sir.
Thanks. Appreciate it. Yep. See you guys.
Congrats.
Okay, so moving on to item D2, recognition of the Garden City High School Green Club, Whitney Lindenberger.
We're gonna make a line right here. I'm Whitney Lindenberger. I'm an associate principal at the high school. Michelle Perez has been our Green Club sponsor for 4 years. And Rachel Wally here, I was telling her back once upon a time when I was a science teacher, I remember going to so many great trainings. So she works for Kansas Green Schools, and I'm gonna read the next one because it's a lot. The Kansas Association for Conservation and Environment, or KC. And she's here to present them with something, and then if Mrs. Perez wants to say some words. Yep.
Fabulous. Okay. Well, this is a big darn deal. My name's Rachel Wally, like she said, and I work for a nonprofit, Casey, and my job is the Kansas Green Schools Director. So I actually live in Manhattan. So I got to drive 4.5 hours today for this big moment, and it is a big moment. So we have what are called Kansas Green Schools Investigations. And these students are super cool. They're like the superstars of superstars, and you have the teacher of superstars. And many of these guys actually came to our conference this last year, which was super cool having kids attend a conference. But they've accomplished 3 green school investigations, which are gathering evidence and data. They're putting together action plans in their community to make this area better. And they are one of 20 schools. There's over 600 green schools in Kansas, and they're one of the first 20 to actually earn what's called the Silver Globe of Excellence. So this is a flag. There's actually 3 different levels. This is the first level, and they have achieved the first level of recognition. So I'm here to honor them tonight with the awesome award.
My name is Michelle Perez, and this is my 4th year as a Green Club advisor. It is an honor to present this as a recognition to my students' work that they become an environmental stewardship and really we look for more something like greening program in the future. So thank you very much for with us.
So like what, give us an example of like what one of the investigations would be, because I've never even heard of the Green Club, so.
We did the pollinator gardening last summer, and it was a very wonderful investigation because we actually seen some pollinators that are visiting during the summer days. And some of my Green Club are actually committing themselves during the summer to do the watering and let the flowers grow till the summer. And then we actually stopped during the winter days because it cannot survive because it was in the outdoor. And then during in the school days, we also grow the vertical gardening that was also being grant from the other, the Kansas Foundation of Agriculture in the classroom. So my three wonderful students, they actually grow some of the lettuce and some other vegetables that are grown vertically, like a hydroponics thing, and it was very successful. So they come up with investigation study and presented during the conference. And we also do right now with the recycling program. This is ongoing. They did the student-led paper waste management, and they come up with a investigation by doing some interviews with the other staff members, like what will be the solution, that there might be some room for improvement of improving our recycling programs, and it's still ongoing.
And the Green Club has really grown. I can remember when it was like 2 kids a couple times a week, and just today, I think I ran across like 6 or 8 after school, and they've got this cool little cart that they collected in now. So they've really done a good job of kind of spreading the word throughout the building for recycling, so. Fantastic.
Anyone else have any questions?
How many schools did you say were in Kansas?
Over 600 that are part of the Green Schools Network. And then any school can be a part of the network. But then to achieve this, you have to complete at least 2 of the 5 investigations. And so that's this is the first level that they've got that completed. And then you can do more investigations and eventually, so there's a silver globe, the gold globe is the next level, and then a green globe is like the ultimate one. Yep.
Hey,
Very good. Thank you.
you guys want to come up and we'll take a picture?
Oh, picture.
Board members in back. Board
You
members.
guys scooch forward so they can get in front of you. I'm definitely the tallest, so I should be in the back.
Absolutely.
You gotta be in it.
I can be in. Do you want me to? That's okay. It's like,
She does not.
I really don't need to be in it.
Yeah, you do.
You're doing
Come on.
this.
Ready?
I know about
1,
those.
2, 3. 1 more. 1, 2, 3.
Sorry.
Good.
All right, good job.
Good job, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
Good
you.
job. Good work.
Grab one. Mine is, I got one.
Okay, item D3, recognition of the KNEA Student Expression Campaign winners, Levi Bernstein. KNEA.
Hi, y'all. I'm Levi Bernfin, advocate teacher at Garden City High School, teach freshmen through seniors. I'm also the GCA president here. And this past weekend, I had the pleasure of sponsoring 3 scholarship winners in my AVID classes. They won a KNEA Student Expression Campaign. Basically what that campaign is a statewide campaign, and any KNEA member can sponsor students, high school students, to show us what racial and social justice looks like to them. And that can be through physical art, digital art, It could be through spoken word, a video, photography, anything they choose. And so these three were selected out of thousands of entries. And they each got a scholarship. We're able to go this weekend to Wichita for the KNEA Representative Assembly. And we're honored there for a dinner and then honored in front of a group of 500 teachers on Saturday. But I think they might be more nervous here, actually. So I wanted to introduce them. This is Sabrina Munnery. She's a senior avid. I'm gonna have her talk to you a little bit about her art in just a second. And then we have Joseph Perez, a sophomore and avid, and Ruth Rojas, a freshman. So I'm gonna take it off to them. Go, Sabrina.
For my art, it's called Many Voices, One Strain. This artwork of mine shows justice as something shared across the world, and yet it's not given to many. At the center, a calm figure holds a rope steadily as many hands pull from different directions, each of them from different places reaching for the same thing, justice. This rope, which can be also seen, represents justice under repetitive strain, stretched by inequality, power, poverty, and even conflict. The word justice can be seen all around in many different languages to show that its meaning is also universal, even if it's not practiced universally. Even though the words are the same, the weight it carries within each word does not. It is well known that justice is spoken about everywhere behind cameras, but it's not held the same for everybody.
Joseph?
My work was a spoken word speech, and it was called Why Do We Cry? Don't We All Bleed the Same Blood? And in the speech, I talked about how racist we became in this world, and that we have taken a dream that Martin Luther King gave us and tore it away. And it shows us that even if you are Black, Hispanic, or a woman, or any type of race, any type of religion, that you matter in this world, and that you deserve a chance to be happy. You don't deserve any racial thingies or anything. You just deserve to be happy in this world. And it hurts me to see that many people say the N-word or anything racist to anyone. Be sexist or anything to anyone is wrong. And that this speech shows you that it's morally wrong and that everyone is a human. We all bleed the same blood, but we cry.
Thank you, Joseph. And Ruth.
My art was spoken word, and basically my quote is, "They judge our people, yet they go to our countries as vacation." My spoken word was supposed to be showing people how right now, especially in this generation, it's a lot of chaos around like everywhere you see political views and even just in complete general, especially in the US. It's just showing a lot of racial towards cultures, no matter if you're Black, white, Hispanic, Asian, or any of those different kind of cultures. Again, that you matter and you shouldn't be able to let anybody tell you like you're less than anybody else just because you're not Hispanic or just because you're not white. You shouldn't be doing this or that. And just showing that everybody should have equality.
So all three were honored during the dinner. Like I said, Sabrina was a first place winner and got $1,000 scholarship. Right? $500 scholarship, and then each two were runners up, and they got $250 scholarships that they can use. So I was really proud of them, and thank you guys very much for allowing us to present them here.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. 2, 3. Thank you.
Good job, guys. Thank you. Great job, guys. Yes.
I do want to mention one thing real quick. Sorry, Drew. There was a miscommunication. We had a fourth winner at Garden City High School, but I did not tell the sponsor, Mr. Anaya, to be here tonight. So I'm going to put that winner, Aleem, on the agenda for May, hopefully, if Drew will let me. So I apologize for that, but thank you guys again for letting us be here.
Thank you.
Okay, item D4, building report, Georgia Matthews Elementary School, Brian Cott.
Real good. Thank you guys for inviting us to come talk about Georgia Matthews. With us, we have our student lighthouse team, and I'll let them introduce themselves and what grade they're in.
My name is Harold Perkins and I'm in fourth grade. My name is Gideon and I'm in fourth grade. My name is Kinsley and I'm a fourth grader. My name is Ryan and my name is Austin and I'm a fourth grader. My name is Wiley and I'm a fourth grader. My name is Abigail and I'm a third grader. My name is Michaela and I'm third grade.
And this is kind of, our lighthouse is like a student council. They had to fill out an application, which some of our teachers went and reviewed that application in Paris, and they picked kind of the top candidates to join it. So they've kind of been the leaders in our building. They've worked with fundraising. They've done a few other activities, like some of the fun days and things like that they've been in charge of. And I'll let them go ahead and start. Eric.
Georgia Matthews strives to make a positive difference in students' futures by building a meaningful community through effective communicate, or building a meaningful relationships and fostering acceptance in our community through effective communication, understanding, and parental involvement. We provide an equal education that fosters independence and a lifelong love of learning. By the end of the school year, 80% of K through 4th students will demonstrate typical to aggressive growth in both math and reading as measured by the Fast Urge Assessment. In 2025 through the 26th, the number of students in third through fourth grade achieving level 3 and 4 in ELA math and science will increase by 10% with the math assessment. Our staff and students are working hard to meet our academic goals and are excited to see our progress at the end of the school year. We also have started our state testing in 2nd through 4th grade and should be finished in the next couple of weeks.
Family involvement is a top priority at Georgia Matthews. We love partnering with our families to support students learning through exciting events year-round, from movies on the lawn to our community-wide trunk or treat. There is always a way to get involved. Some of the highlights from this past year include our summer music and family engagement nights focused on math, English, and nutrition.
Throughout the year, we strive to celebrate opportunities that bring our students and staff together. From the seasonal excitement of our work on back-to-school festivals to academic milestones like the fun bee and inspiring outdoor visits, there is always something to look forward to. We cap off our semesters with high energy events like the end of first semester carnival and take great pride in our partnership with Golden Plains Youth Credit Union. This collaboration offers unique experiences for our students, including cookies with Santa, Easter egg hunts, and raffle drawings at the end of each semester to reward those who participate in our student savings program. There are many different things that students learn about learning. The number of girls on the side are listed by the members of the Lighthouse team. As you can see, there's a lot to learn about learning. When the student activities in the morning, robotics after school and morning, that every staff member is here to help all of us learning.
Personally, I love Georgia Magic because we do a lot of family stuff to color around the community. On this April 1st, 2026, Georgia Matthews served a diverse population of 144 students. Our students speak 10 different home languages. Our staff works to the needs of our learners, as 45% of our students are English language learners, and 23 receive and 23% receive special education support. Our students and community have worked hard and maintained a remarkable attendance rate of 96%. You are invited to come celebrate the school year with the staff and students at Georgia Matthews on the last day of school, May 21st. Activities include student success and civility, then a annual color run barbecue.
And then also before we're done, I do want to invite our staff up because on March 15th, our staff had worked with Apple. They have a distinguished school program where most of our staff had to go through and learn all the tools that the iPad and Apple computers have and utilize. So they got a bigger understanding of how to use the iPad in the classroom. With that, we had to complete a video, which I'll show that quick video while the staff is coming up.
Don't be shy, guys.
Don't be shy. Stay on behind there.
Wow, everybody keep it on. Okay, thanks.
Part of that application was that we had to complete those learnings, fill out an application that basically met the Apple criteria for designated schools. So how we use the iPad, how our building's focus aligns with kind of their morals or their guidelines for the program. And then we had to create a video that kind of highlights who we are and what we do. And here's that quick video.
Oh, hello. Welcome to Georgia Matthews Elementary. We are an elementary building that houses K through 4 and 146 students with 10 different home languages spoken. Let's come check out what we have to provide for you. Come on.
In math because we have Cedro and the iPad and we if we get 15 more than 15 we get to do the other one.
Hey, it's me, Ronald. Technology plays a very important role in my teaching because it enhances my teaching and makes my teaching more efficient. And as to the students, it plays also a very important role by getting them motivated and more engagement. And they are really into technology nowadays. So that makes why technology is very important.
The technology access in my classroom allows me to plan engaging lessons that I can differentiate to my students' learning levels. Students' experiences with their iPads in our classroom inspire them to be creative, and it gives them a lot of opportunities to practice perseverance and problem solving.
The iPad has been helping me by using things that help me learn.
So technology has helped me and my kids in my classroom. I am not a tech savvy person, so learning all these new tools and apps has inspired me to push myself to learn them, to be able to teach my kids. And now that I have come a long ways, I have been able to teach my kids these new technologies.
And then kind of through this process, when we started with Becky, Tyler, and Casey, the staff really kind of took it head on, and with the trainings, then we also started our discussions in PLC about how we're using it to be more intentional with using technology. So instead of just using it in the free time and some of those time filler pieces, of actually making it educational when we're using technology. So there's collaboration going on, like in the video where you saw the one kid with 2 iPads. They were working together on the same thing, so it was going back and forth. Mr. Dakapil is right there, does a great job. Clary, Ms. Kaplan does the same thing. And all the way down to the elementary or the lower levels where it's a lot easier to put those time fillers. They've been more strategic with it, like using it for our ELA curriculum boards. Really focusing on the education piece and reducing a lot of those time fillers. Like I know there's like class dojo games, which as a school, we've decided to take that away. We're not using that. We're going to do more intentional academic things with the iPad. Just like Manolo here said, that using like speed drill or those games to help them learn. So it ties in with what we're actually doing with the curriculum. So that I want to congratulate my staff on using that and kind of taking it head on.
Well said. I'm Tyler Gates and Becky Alexander. So I'll make this brief. We just wanted to make sure that Brian wasn't underselling how awesome of an achievement this is, and he is. He's being humble. There are 8 Apple Distinguished Schools in the entire state, 2 west of the Kansas City metro area. So that's awesome. You have to get on Apple's radar. So essentially what happens is the people from Apple start saying, you should really apply. We see some really great things going on here. So there's a whole application process and you have to be vetted. And I think what stands out to us is that this isn't just an acknowledgement for having iPads in the classroom. It's a mark of excellence. Apple says, yep, we see that you have a clear vision for how technology can improve learning in your building. And if you spend any amount of time in classrooms at Georgia Matthews, it's obvious that these teachers are moving from screen time to meaningful technology engagement. So they're doing a great job. We hope that this will springboard other schools. We can, get other schools on board here and scale this to get some really great things going on across the entire district. So you guys are awesome. While we may end up with other schools as Apple Distinguished Schools in the future, you'll always be the first. So congratulations. It's been a lot of work and we're really proud of you guys. So way to go.
Have any questions?
First of all, congratulations on your Apple Achievement Award. That's not Achievement Award, but anyway, I really like that you are making it more intentional instead of just like games to fill the time. I know so my son is in elementary school and he has come home and like on his school iPad, he's like, look at these games on Class Dojo. I'm like, so thank you for taking care of that.
It's fine now, but
yes, very
they're coming around.
Very educational, sorry. I I just had a really quick question. On your second slide here, it says by the end of the school year, 80% of K through 4 students will demonstrate typical to aggressive growth. What's the definition for aggressive growth?
Aggressive is looking at, so typical is like a year's worth of growth. The aggressive is looking at more than a year. So kind of focusing on those students that may be behind, trying to catch them up by the time they leave our building. So that gap doesn't widen and we're narrowing it down. So kind of with everything we do, if you don't know about our building, we also have a program, a special education program called the Behavior Room. So we do get kids that we really focus on acceptance, which our whole population is kind of engulfed that. So we really focus on growth, whether it's behavior or academic or anything we do is the biggest part is focusing on growth. So that's where it kind of starts. But initially we started with any growth. Now we're working to more and more trying to close that gap.
Awesome, thank you. Do you have any reports on how you're doing on those WIGs?
I don't have it completely done yet because the last Fast Bridge test, we're not doing until here in the next month or so. In the winter, we were probably about 60% growth. So we were getting there, not quite where we want to be, but we were showing a lot of positive things, like with the state testing, we did a lot of kite mini tests in 3rd and 4th grade, and we were super excited to see the outcome of those tests. And then our interim tests came back really well. So we're pretty excited to see what happens with our state testing and even this spring Fast Bridge test, just with all the growth that our students have done.
With there being 10 different languages with 144 kids, that's, math's not that great, but 14%. Do you think that, which is very indicative of the population of Garden City in general, does that impact like your teaching styles, or does it make it more difficult, or do you find that the kids just come together and it works?
I think a lot of it, they come together and it works. I know in the lower levels, with the loss of the ESL program, because just not enough students, our staff has done an amazing job working with each other. We do have a couple bilingual teachers on our staff that have done an amazing job working with some of those students. So we kind of partner up. Some of the students, like we've had a complete Spanish speaking student in our 4th grade work with our lower kids to get the letter sounds, and our teachers, which happen to be where our bilingual teachers are in the lower levels, to help improve. So it's just basically kind of the atmosphere that we have of acceptance and patience, which I think all of our students do an amazing job. I think as of right now, I have 0 referrals from our general population outside of our behavior room. So we have 0 suspensions, expulsions throughout the year. And I think that says a lot of what our kids do and how they treat each other.
That behavior room, how many kids do you typically have in there? How long are they in that setting?
Right now, we have about 10 kids in that room. We could go up to 16. It's about 2 each grade, give or take. Right now, we're working on building a transition plan to getting kids out. So right now, they've pretty much stayed with us when they come in. And they come in usually kindergarten and 2nd grade. And then by the time we're done, like we've tried to transition kids out, but we haven't had a lot of success. So we're really working on how we transition, how we reduce services, so that the goal is hopefully getting them back to their home building before they end up leaving here with the reconfiguration, if that goes through 5th grade. So currently they stay with us the whole time.
I just want to get a picture.
Go ahead, you're gonna have the lighthouse team.
Yeah, how the kids will listen, right?
No, we just. Just go ahead, there, go ahead, there, yeah.
He has to.
Little slip advice, you might wanna go and sprint. Except the kids.
Yeah.
Ready? Two, three. One. Oh, you're gonna have to pull the sign out just a little bit more. There you go. One, two, three. One more. One, two, three. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Guys. Make sure that he knows. Very sure I was standing there.
And you guys are all invited on the 21st. Probably do kind of around our.
Yeah.
Other run about.
I'm not sure. And they're to the correct today.
For the moment, your sister building. Yeah.
Where's your stay?
I mean,
Okay. Item E, the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as?
Mrs. President Pro Tem, I move to approve all consent agenda items as amended.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor, raise your hand. Mark?
Aye.
Are you and I?
Yes, aye.
Okay, thank you. Motion carried. Item F, board reports. F1, the AVID program, Dr. Virginia Dunn.
Do we have? Excellent, okay. All right, so I'm gonna give you kind of an overview, a little bit of background on what AVID is, but also have some students and teachers speak to like how AVID has impacted them. So where do I? Just on the laptop?
Yeah, there's a little.
Okay. There we go. Okay. I think that happened when we like downloaded it into like a PDF. So just real quick, the AVID mission is to close the opportunity gap by preparing all students for college and career readiness and success in a global society. So one of my fun educational research facts is that there's a 90% skill overlap with students who are preparing for a college versus a career pathway. And so that 90% of skills is all of the things that students need to be able to do with writing, communication, and interpersonal skills. And then the only other 10% is very job specific skills. So a specific trade or a specific path that they're going down. So AVID supports all of those things. And then I just kind of wanted to put this up there as our Garden City Public Schools mission and vision. I know you're all aware of it, but AVID supports the implementation of our mission and vision. And we call it a system driver because it has like a rubric that helps us identify areas that we have some gaps in that we want to work on. And all of the things that are in that rubric are things that we have in our mission and vision statement. So it's really kind of neat to see how that overlaps. I think something that's really important about USD 457 is that we're always looking for ways to improve what we are offering to students and how we prepare students for what they're going to be doing in the future. And AVID is a way that helps us do that to make sure that they are successful later on down the road. AVID is part of our current strategic plan. Underneath the student success and student-centered programming is that we will expand the AVID program and the opportunities. But beyond that, AVID really supports the rigorous instruction and literacy skills that we really want all students to be prepared with.
So what is Avid? It's a little bit of overview. I mentioned before that Avid is a system driver. It is something that supports all students at all levels. However, we currently have Avid in grades 7 through 12. There's two parts to the Avid system, and one is a school-wide approach, and it's all about instruction and what teachers are doing in the classroom. And then the second part of that is the Avid elective class, and the elective class really supports students who are in the academic middle. And the students that have potential, they're not our low students, they're not our high students, but they do have that potential to be really high students with support. So there's some sort of support system missing for them, and we work really hard to make sure that they have that extra support they need to do whatever they would like to do in the future. There we go. Okay. So no matter what students plan to do in the future, we want to make sure that they have the resources along the way to help them achieve their goals, and Avid is one of the ways that helps us do that. It supports rigorous instruction. It focuses on organization of time, thought, and materials. It supports college and career pathways, and it really supports our goals with CTE. It has students exploring all of the career pathways, anything that it has to do with college and technical pathways that they would like to do, it supports that. I'm not going to read through everything on this slide, but this does have a little bit of background about how Avid started, and where it's come. I do want to point out that Avid is consistently on the cutting edge of educational research. So it's like rooted in sound and rigorous instructional strategies. So while it may have started a long time ago and it's still around, they're constantly evolving and changing to meet the needs of our students today. So that gives you a little historical background. So this one I wanted to spend a little time on because it gives you a little bit of information about what Avid, what the foundation is of it. So I'd mentioned that there's this rubric that has different areas of instruction and school systems. And so that rubric is separated into 4 different categories, and that's that like kind of grayed out area in the back. But they do have a rubric that's for instruction, a rubric that's for the culture, a rubric for like the systems, and then the leadership. But on top of that, it is this framework for what students need, that rigorous academic preparation, opportunity knowledge, and then student agency. So really teaching students to advocate for themselves and how to navigate some of those things as they prepare for their future. But then it also works on collective educator agency. So making sure that we insist on rigor, we break down any barriers that might exist for students, that we align all of our work, and that we advocate for students. And all of that is built on that relational capacity. This is just a quick overview of what the grade levels that Avid serves. Again, we focus on the Avid secondary, but it does have a pre-K through 12 system. And then it also has an area that does help English language learners, specifically targeted for English language learners. We've had Avid secondary in our school system since 2009, so grades 7 through 12. Just a point of clarification is that Avid is not a curriculum, it is a system. So it doesn't tell us what to teach. We have our curriculums that tell us how to do that. And then Avid is all about instructional strategies and rigorous instruction and what's going on inside the classroom to support that curriculum. And so I did include a slide in there if you're curious about some of the, because we get this question all the time. But when it comes to things that have to do with elementary, it's all about preparing them into like how they're gonna be supported as they go into secondary schools. This is an example of what it looks like in the Avid elective class. So they really work on is looking at college and career preparedness, and then working on tutorials. And tutorials are a way for them to learn how to work through a problem and actually get past it and build some grit into not just getting stuck, but like, how do I move past that point of confusion in my academic work and how to be able to do that in the future too. And we coach them in moving into, as seniors, learning how to get away from a very specific structure into collaborative study groups, which is how do I study when I'm in college or I'm in my technical school trying to figure out how to get past this problem. How can I do that? So it's a neat process. And that's the foundation of what is built into the elective class. So this is kind of some exciting data, and I'm going to break down each part of this, but of our AVID elective students in the high school, 92% of the AVID elective students took at least one rigorous course compared to 82% of the student body school-wide. And then that 100% is the number of current AVID elective high school students, grades 9 through 12, who are taking a sequence of courses allowing them to meet the four-year college entrance requirements based on their current transcript and four-year plan, compared to only 75% of our student body school-wide. The other percentages that are on there, so I'm going to figure out how to explain this. So all of this data is based on the previous year's data because that's what we have the reports on. The data that for this year is still in process, so we have not finished collecting it all. So for last year's data, our high school English language arts, the CAP data, the students who are in the AVID elective class, on average, scored in the 3s and 4s, 6 percentage points higher than the rest of our student body who were non-elective. In the middle school, they scored 1% higher. So same thing, all of those middle school students in the AVID elective class, in the percentage of students that were in the levels 3s and 4s are scoring 1% higher than anybody who is not in the AVID elective class. 8th grade English alone was 12 percentage points higher. You already had a question.
Yeah, because these AVID students, you're selecting them out of kind of the mid-range, like.
Exactly.
Students, so would we expect them maybe to be higher than if you looked at the whole population, which includes?
Yes, they would, because you're looking at the whole student population. But when you think about, like, I mean, these kids are in the academic middle. So when you look at the percentage of students who are 3s and 4s, like we would expect them to not score. Like these are kids that have barriers and are not necessarily scoring at the highest level because of that. And so knowing that, like, it's not just our academic middle, it's students who are in their academic middle might have potential, but also have a lot of barriers in place. And there's a whole bunch of different ones that I could go into. So they might be the first to go to college or go on to do a career after the fact. They might come from single parent families. They might have just any other factor or barrier that exists. They might come from a really large family. Like there's just a number of different factors that go into that. So when you look at when you look at the student, they don't traditionally score in those 3s and 4s because they have those barriers. Does that make sense? Like when we pull their data before they go into the AVID elective class, they're not necessarily scoring at those 3s and 4s. There might be the 2s and 3s. And so we have a higher percentage of AVID elective students scoring in the 3 and 4s now with that support. Does that make sense?
So do their scores change before they're in AVID to after they are? I mean, is it the 1% statistically significant that they have made progress, or is this?
Yes. Yes, the point is that they are making progress. So that's my point, is that we're actually closing that achievement gap. And with math, they're scoring like at or within 0.5 percentage point, which they would not do without that support. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just like from those two numbers alone, it's hard for me to see, like, is this a median versus mean type issue? Is it statistically significant compared to the rest of the population? So, or is it a before and after, like, snapshot change, you know? I'm just trying to figure out.
It's a straight comparison. And to be real honest, we had to do this data by hand. Michelle and I sat and had to pull out each student because it doesn't just run a report for the AVID students. So, you know, we had to pull each student out, and that's what, and every elective teacher, and actually it was, we sat and did it by hand, but they sent me their data to show me how they were doing. So that might be a longer conversation.
So the AVID students are elected or they volunteer or there's requirements
both.
to meet?
Yeah.
The,
Mhm. There are requirements for them to be in the Avid elective class. They have to want to be in it. It's not something that they're placed in. So it's students who really have the drive that they want to do more, but they don't necessarily have that support in place. So they go through an interview process, an application process, and there's a set of criteria that they have to meet to be in the elective class. So that's the elective component.
How many students do you have? Like what percent of middle schoolers, what percent of high schoolers are in?
Horace Goods at 17.5%.
You guys have numbers off the top of your head?
Students and I would electives. So that's.
10%.
So 24 out of 400.
She's rotating.
Mhm. We're hoping to see more on that data. It's just we're always a year behind too. And so that comparison is like, we're digging deeper as we go, but. All right, so this is the core component of our school-wide approach with Avid. So it's all about instructional strategies and rigorous instruction. So it works with, because of that, it works with any curriculum. It doesn't matter what content area it is, what curriculum we're using, because it's not based on the curriculum, it's based on the instructional strategies that are used in class. And we call it WICR because it just stands for the writing, inquiry, collaboration, organization, and reading strategies that we use in classes. Through Avid, they offer quite a bit of support. The Summer Institute is something that we send usually our Avid elective teachers to each summer because they go on to like a learning path that is like the next step for them. We also are sending, this year we're going to send our instructional coaches because we've had several new instructional coaches. And then the Avid professional learning modules are something that Avid provides to us that we're able to offer to our teachers in-house. The regional Avid path training is something that we have brought in. We were bringing it in every 3 years, but now we're going to be bringing it just for our new staff so that we can make sure that they're trained. The implementation specialist, we have somebody who comes and coaches us. And that's all built into everything that Avid does with us. And he's been out here twice so far this year. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a second with our high school. And then we embed components of any of the professional learning we do in PLCs, building and district professional learning days. So talking a little bit about the impact, this is a very short list. We actually have a few more than that who are going to come speak. So our students who would like to kind of share their stories, and then we have some of our Avid elective teachers who are going to share a little bit about the impact that Avid has had on them.
Hey, I'm back. You guys know me, Levi Bernfin. I brought Sabrina and Ruth, since they were here already for the student expression campaign. So they are going to talk a little bit about Avid here. This is my first year teaching Avid 9 through 12, and I'm really, really excited about it. I'm glad to have all the Avid classes before I just taught the Avid freshmen. And it's been great to watch their growth from the first time I had them as freshmen all the way now to have them as seniors. I had Sabrina when she was a freshman, so it's been great to see her growth in particular. And now Ruth is a freshman, and I'll have her hopefully for 4 more years. So I'll turn over to them.
Yeah, like Mr. Burford said, I've been in Avid for like, I'd say since 8th grade. Yeah. So this is my 2nd year, and so far it's been, I would say it's been pretty well. Maybe sometimes whenever they see TRFs, I just get flashbacks and I get like, it's just nerve-wracking. So, but I would, for middle school, I went to Horace Good and Avid, and I'd say the experience there was really amazing. I personally loved it so much. That's the reason why I wanted to continue to do it in high school. It helped me accomplish a lot of my goals. It brought my grades up comparing to from 7th grade to 8th grade. I could see a big difference, especially my parents. They felt so happy seeing me like actually do something that helped me, a cause that would actually benefit me. And even whenever I mention, oh, I'm gonna go help Avid or this and that, they are more than welcome to letting me. They know that my teachers have taught me nothing but like good ways to get my grade up or to take notes or just in general, basically. So I would just say all of my teacher right now, Mr. Burnfin and Ms. Bates, I'd say they were amazing teachers. Um, I'd say middle school Avid was also a really good experience. Again, I feel like it just also gets you ready for high school, especially. It prepares you for all the note taking you're gonna do. It prepares you for all the hard work that they're gonna give you. Even though sometimes they could give you little extra assignments than your other classes, it still benefits you all, especially in high school. It shows, oh, you're gonna do this in college, so get ready for it. Or it helps you see, oh, which college is gonna help you better. So that was just all my experience so far.
Thank you, Ruth.
I've been Avid for around 4 years, and I decided to join Avid freshman year just to see how it goes. And from comparing myself from freshman to senior year, I've really changed. I became more organized and became like a better version of myself. And Avid really has helped me figure out what college is for me, especially since we always go to trips like Wichita State University, Fort Hays, Friends University, and even our next trip that's coming around the corner. And that has helped me narrow down like colleges for me to pick, which I chose to go to Fort Hays University. And surprisingly enough, I got accepted to it to go for nursing.
I'm gonna brag for her real quick because she's got a ton of scholarships too, and she's gotten a whole bunch of her schooling paid for. She didn't want to mention all that, but she's gonna go really well at Forest State.
I'm Elena Bates. I am the Avid teacher at Horace Good. This is my third year teaching 7th and 8th grade Avid, and my first year I had just the 7th graders who are now Mr. Burnfin sophomores. For me, as a student, I was always interested in all the content areas. So when I chose to teach, I was in English, but when Mr. Springston asked me if I would consider taking Avid, I jumped at it because not only do I get to work with students in literacy, I get to work with science and math and history, and I get to show them that they're all connected and you can love all of them equally, and they really do talk to each other. Getting to work with kids who are in that academic middle and help push them up, I was thrilled when you said that because I didn't realize how much that middle school data had jumped. Just 12% getting to work, and what we're seeing is a lot of our students who are at that 2, the basic competency, are jumping to a 3. And that's where that really big growth is coming from, getting to work and build those relationships and watch them not only as 7th and 8th graders at Horace Good, but 9 through 12, working with my good friend, Mr. Burnfin, has been one of the best parts of being an educator.
Welly.
Yep, she can do it.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Noelle. How Avid helped me is it helped me make an organization system. It helped me keep on myself on top of my grades and my schoolwork. It really helped me by learning more about my schoolwork and not just staying behind on it.
Public speaking in groups, working with people.
It helped me work with more people that I didn't know I could work with. It helped me stay out of my comfort zone. It helped me study more, take more notes.
Mr. Ricky, you did great.
All right, well, I am Dustin Algram, and I teach at Kenneth Henderson. I'm the FACS teacher there, but also the AVID teacher. And I brought with me Mr. Dinkle, and we have Lola and Isaiah with us. So as you can kind of hear, you've kind of heard about the impact that it's made at the middle school level, where it's, the organization, it's helped with their writing craft and just seeing the note taking, and then just the post high school readiness on there, thinking about that. And then even as they get into high school, we're planting those seeds as they're getting in to the high school level. And so they're very familiar with Avid already, and so that really helps them with that. And so another component that we kind of put in there is the leadership component as well with that. And so we can kind of combine that with the Avid, and so that really makes it even more powerful when students have that component. And so I'll go and turn it over to our two students to share their experiences.
Hello, my name is Lola, and something that Avid has helped me a lot with is public speaking. At the beginning of my 8th grade year, I was not a big public speaker. I did not like going out and speaking in public, but in Avid, every once in a while, we'll do these presentations where we have to present something in front of the class, and I feel like that's just helped bring my confidence up so much more. But I think the thing that it's helped me out the most with is college is still quite a few years ahead, but I have been able to look into different colleges and scholarships that I can apply for. And it has just helped me get a much more open eye to more career choices that I might like to decide on in the future and majors in college. And Avid has just helped me in my classes. It means a lot to me that I'm able to do this.
Isaiah, and AVID really does what it stands for, advancement via individual learning or advancement via individual determination. And I've been doing AVID for 2 years now, 7th and 8th grade, and I could have been happier that I chose to do so. 7th grade, I really started the year kind of quiet, very shy to talk to people, very scared of public speaking. And Mr. Algram over here really helped me raise my confidence in myself to talk to more people and do speeches correctly, I guess you could say. And in my 8th grade year, I really learned from Mr. Dinkle how to really take note-taking and understand how to process your current classes. And I have a story, actually. I have a friend who I convinced to join Avid. He was really clinging on to extra credit, that sort of thing. And joining Avid actually really helped him to become a better student, raising his grades, raising his confidence, becoming more talkative.
Dr. Duncan, I didn't know we were going to match tonight. I apologize. Came from a soccer thing. I switched into my Avid shirt. So, I'm Brian Dinkle. I'm the 8th grade Avid elective teacher at Kenneth Henderson. This is actually, I was just counting it up. I believe this is my 6th year as the Avid elective teacher. First couple of years I had 7th and 8th grade mixed. And the numbers got so big that they split it into 7th grade and 8th grade. So Avid's impacted me because it's given me the opportunity to work with that middle of the road, those middle kids. Teach the advanced math class. That's a different group of people. I also work with the lower level kids. Kids in the middle, the ones that a lot of times get left behind. But like both Lola and Isaiah said, we do a lot of public speaking. And I got that from a professor down at Oklahoma Panhandle State University when we toured there on one of our college visits, when he said what most kids are lacking when they get out of high school and get into college is public speaking skills. They've noticed it. And so my philosophy is teach them early, be able to be confident and speak well to an audience. And we do. I think we've done 4. We've got one more speaking project to do. This is one of the hardest speaking projects. It's to tell a joke and get people to respond. Because that's a tough job. That's a tough job, but sometimes it has to happen. So I enjoy it. I appreciate the board's support over the last several years in it. Going through a cabinet last week, a couple weeks ago, found a notebook. It was a binder that they put together back 2009, you said, it's been around.
Is when we started.
Yeah, so that notebook's been in a cabinet somewhere since 2009, 2010. So now we use more electronic binders. So, but again, thank you for your support of Avid. Turn it back over to Dr.
Did you have any questions for the students before we have the, let's go talk a little bit about their next step?
Questions that I'm sure they can answer. Is it a semester or a year-long collective?
Actually, a commitment for longer than that.
How many years do they stay in the program? What's your
Class that you take, semesters.
Say that again.
It's a year-long class for both semesters.
How long do they typically stay in it once they start?
So at the middle school level, they should stay in it for both years, 7th and 8th grade. At the high school level, they reapply in that for 9th grade, and then they stay in it for their 4 years, ideally. Because there's different information that they cover that prepares them each grade level.
I have 50 spots, and from my 7th grade to my 8th grade, I have 46 returning and 42 applicants to join as 8th graders.
So the leadership lab that we talked about at the curriculum council, is that going to be related to Avid and Ed?
Yeah.
Quick? Okay.
Yes. And I'll be bringing that the next board meeting, but yes, that is exactly where we're headed with that. Mhm.
Awesome. So would that then take, instead of doing the elementary kind of, since we're not really doing that here, right? We just have it in. So that will be kind of leading into Avid.
It will be, because it'll be a little bit of the elementary and it'll be a little bit of that secondary with their 6th grade classes that they're gonna do. Yeah. We have one more, we wanted to talk about the high school and their next steps that they're gonna do. Let's see real quick, don't leave.
I'm Amy Cosper. I'm the Associate Principal for Arts and Communications at Garden City High School. I've also been our Avid Site Coordinator in some capacity for 4 years now. And so at the high school, we were able to participate in what they call an Avid Showcase last Wednesday. Sorry, you're probably not live. So that showcase process, the idea behind it is twofold. One, to get feedback from our implementation specialist, and two, to show off all the good things we're doing. So this year, as kind of a practice for what they call a demo school, is we had people within USD 457 who came in and saw what we do at Garden City High School for Avid, both within the elective and school-wide, as well as our implementation specialist. We got a lot of really good feedback from that. Not only what Avid expects that to look like, but both in and out of the elective, but then just processes, the logistics of how that works. So moving forward, what that could look like is we could become a demo school when it comes to what Avid expects. There's a few things we need to grow in our program, particularly in our elective. Some of those numbers we were talking about at the high school, we're at about 5% of our student population. We'd like to see that number double to really hit that true demo site status. And then we would eventually be looking at other schools who want to come see what Avid implementation looks like and kind of showcase Garden City High School in that regard. So we have a lot of really good school-wide systems in place. You got to hear a lot about the elective, but we are Avid school-wide in the sense of it's how we do school, right? As Dr. Duncan explained, Avid is the how, our district curriculum is the what. And so a lot of people would say Avid instructional strategies are just good teaching, and they're right, but it creates common vocabulary and common goals and drivers. We are guided by what's called the secondary implementation tool, which looks at those 4 domains of leadership systems, culture, and instruction. And we've been able this year to merge what has been our Avid site team and our building leadership team into one. So that way, all those arrows are going the right way. So we can align our Avid site plan with our KISA goals, with instruction day-to-day in the classroom. And so that's all supported by our PLCs. They're not quite weekly, but when we do meet with our PLCs that's driving that, especially since our PLCs are cross-content. So they're not as curriculum focused, they're very much instruction focused, and that shared vocabulary and that shared expectation of rigor and supporting students and collaboration and all those things really emphasize that. Our teachers are pretty good at what we call wickerizing a lesson. So are you incorporating writing, inquiry, organization, collaboration, and reading? Now, not every lesson has all 5, depending on where you're at in your sequence of your curriculum, but are we incorporating all of those things? So we do insist on that rigor and our students can be successful for the next steps. So yeah, that's kind of how we support it across the building, and people get tired of hearing wickerize it sometimes, but that's okay. Any questions for what school-wide looks like or how we support that?
Do you give them, whenever they're learning how to take notes, do you give them ideas or do you show them, or how's that work? Like if they're in college?
So within the AVID elective, they learn different ways to take notes. One of the things we work with on teachers at the high school is that sometimes our teachers assume that all kids know how to take notes. And I think as adults, we even know that sometimes we don't know how to take notes. So we try to provide a lot of different structures. And that's where that really organization comes in all of our classrooms across the building. I would say Cornell Notes is probably the most quote known and used consistently. But we really just try and say, how are you supporting their thinking?
Makes sense.
Any questions for our students before we dismiss them, or?
All right. I appreciate all the information.
Yeah.
When Levi was doing the presentation earlier and he was saying AVID, I was kind of in the back of my head going, not exactly sure I know what that is completely, so I appreciate the information.
Right. Thank you.
Okay, item F2, PISA plan, Steve Norby.
I know.
Okay, Robin's been through KISA goals over the last couple of years, but for our 3 newer board members, this will be your first kind of real introduction through our selection and things and focus of our big district goals from one year to another. Okay. All schools in Kansas are accredited through a system called KISA, the Kansas Education Systems Accreditation. And the KISA process has a whole bunch of different pieces to it. Some of those are, well, I'm hoping that stays on.
In the last 5 minutes, but it's something.
It's something. But there are some like accountability pieces. Are we reporting the correct data? Are we filling out the correct forms and all those? So that's part of the accreditation process. But a big part of the accreditation process is really led by what you see in front of you. And I put each of your tables, and that's the Kansas School Improvement Model. It's all based on activities, actions that are known to promote student success and improvement in learning. And so through this set of fundamentals and structures and indicators, that's really what guides our selection of a district goal and how we monitor our progress. Okay. So the first part are fundamentals. On the far left of that sheet, those are 4 overarching foundational pieces that if you improve one or more of those, you're going to have a much better chance of improving student outcomes. Things like structured literacy as a focus, standards alignment, balanced assessments, just quality, good instructional methods. Inside of those fundamentals are 6, what the state is calling structures, which are little more focused activities that can fit underneath all 4 of those areas. Concentrating on those areas also leads to student improvement in their outcomes. And each of those structures has a set of indicators that the state can look at and judge a school and a district's performance by. So within each of those structures, as I said, there's a set of lead indicators that if you select one of those to focus on, kind of give you a lead into how the state is going to judge your effectiveness. Did you do those things? Each one of those has measures of progress to achieve throughout the year. You have to select, along with your goal, something that you can be measured by, a goal to be reached. Did you do it? Yes or no? And within the measure of progress, there's a 6-month target and a 1-year target. We receive a 6-month visit from the State Department to check on our progress. And then at the end of a year, we report out. Did we do? What did we do throughout the year? Did we accomplish what we said we were going to with our goal? So for our district, this in front of you is our KISA team. This group of professionals leads our district efforts towards setting goals, monitoring progress, making sure we do what we say we're going to do. And kind of taking that goal and all of those activities and getting them across the finish line. During this past year, slide. Well, during this past year, we selected the fundamental of quality instruction and the structure of resource allocation. We felt that an overarching need for us was improvement in our English language arts curriculum. We needed better curricular resources with more rigor, more teacher support, and that was where we focused our efforts, towards the selection and the adoption of those curricular resources. And that goal was set in April last year. Our district leadership team, our KISA team, met in Sublette in a cohort with representatives from Dodge City, Geary County Schools, and Liberal. And we were trained on this whole KISA goal selection process and school improvement process. And then we started the selection of a district goal and putting together a timeline. So then Mr. Guyman came before the board and presented this goal in May of last year. The goal and the action plan of what we were going to do throughout the year was submitted then to KSDE for approval. Over the summer, we received notice that our accreditation was approved and the goal was good to go. In September, we started with our 6-month visit, our 6-month check-in with Jay Scott, who is in charge of KISA accreditation at the state level. And he came, visited with us, talked through our process, talked through our steps in our action of selecting the new curriculum. In October, then Heather Stegman, who will come up and talk in just a second, presented to the board on the progress that we had made thus far in our curriculum adoption and through our goal process, our KISA process. In January, this board approved the adoption of the HMH curriculum, which kind of was the finish line for the selection of those high quality instructional materials. In February, then we went, this time it was Hutch, and met with this leadership team met with the same cohort of schools, Dodge, Geary County, Junction City, and Liberal. And presented on our progress, got feedback from the state, and we started work on our next goal. We put one goal to bed, it's time for another one in the accreditation process. But when Mr. Guyman came up last year and presented, he said this really wasn't a one-year goal because when you get the new curriculum adopted, you now have got to implement it. It really turns into a 2-year goal or more. So that leads us into what Heather's going to talk about here for our new goal.
So I made just a quick one pager for each of you, if you want to take one of those.
Always the same schools.
Yeah, they do it by kind of by size. A lot of the smaller schools in the area will go and meet together. They keep the urban districts. They call us one of the urban districts, western part of the state. So we all meet together in the same kind of code. Dodge, Liberal, Geary County. Yep, just us 4.
Okay, so as we started this process, I'm going to take you back to that rainbow chart that we started with. When Mr. Nordby summarized, we had kind of talked about resource allocation being our focus last year. We're just moving down the chart now to look at the next pieces of our implementation, okay? So we're going to focus over the next year on educator evaluation and professional learning, because professional learning is essential to using those materials that we just purchased and doing them effectively. But we feel like teachers need feedback from leaders about their implementation to improve their practices. So both of those will be focused on over the coming year to ensure that we get a good implementation.
So we're sticking with the same structure of our fundamental of quality instruction. We're just adding some different perspectives.
So our why is we are continually trying to seek improvement in both our CAP scores, which are our state assessments, as well as our FastBridge scores. So along that, always keeping that goal in mind, we've had over 200 of our teachers become letters trained and knowledgeable of the science of reading. And the feedback they have given us is that the materials that we were previously using, benchmarks specifically, were not effective in teaching kids to read. We spent the last year adopting more effective materials. We now have better materials in hands, but we've got to train people in how to use them with fidelity and effectively. So our upcoming goal is going to be, how do we make that happen? And then the two parts of it are teachers as well as leaders. And then we also took feedback from previous implementations that we've had regarding both positive and negative feedback to adjust our plans to accommodate things that have gone well and not gone well in previous adoptions. So I linked a couple documents in here. During the 24-25 school year, the Kansas Department of Education hired a consultant that gave guidance across the state in how to implement materials effectively, especially new materials. We subcontracted with that individual to come here on January 16th and work with Dr. Duncan and I in writing out our plans for what the implementation and training was going to be for our staff over the upcoming year. So the documents that we created that day are a scope and sequence of what we are going to do with each of our PD days for our teachers, as well as for our leaders over the coming year. So this has kind of driven our planning for our KISA plan. We have 4 important dates this year. One of them is already complete. Our first PD day was April 6th. And that was kind of an overview of the curriculum. And we just took what the curriculum company normally does with staff when we purchase new curriculum. Bless you. An overview of the entire curriculum, because we have some people that want to go home over the summer and really work with materials and start planning for the upcoming year. And we wanted them to have the knowledge and skills to do that. So this April 6th day, that overview of the curriculum really gives them an idea of where the essential parts of the curriculum are so that they can do that planning.
On July 30th, which is about 2 weeks before kids get to school, we're having another PD day where they will get another day of training in how to use the materials effectively. We've also asked for model lessons to be shown. So the presenter will demonstrate how those components should look and then show the teachers where those materials are to support that lesson. And then the afternoon will be spent with supported planning. So the HMH staff will stay and work with our teachers in developing their first couple weeks of lesson plans. Then our next PD day is September 28th, and we will be working on additional components of the lesson. I believe the writing and grammar are our focus for that September 28th day, as well as Amira. We didn't want to do any training on the online components during the first quarter because we really want teachers focusing on how to use the actual classroom instruction materials. But September 28th, we'll introduce then the technology pieces of the curriculum. And then January 5th, we have not got a set plan for January 5th. We want to get teacher feedback after September 28th and then plan January 5th based on that teacher feedback.
Question about the Amira piece. So they're not gonna start it right away at the beginning of next fall semester. Like when you'll do the PD in September, when will they start using Amira? And do you guys have expectations for how often or how much time they'll spend?
Yeah, we will put a handbook together for the curriculum in general. That'll have a lot of guidance for stuff like that. We usually do that right after school is out. Our ELA teams come together and put together those guidance documents, and that'll be part of that. Yeah, I'm sorry.
In September, you're gonna hand those out?
No, because those handbooks will cover the entire curriculum, grade card handbooks, all of that. So they'll get those handbooks in July, but we're not giving any training in how to use those technology pieces until September because we want them focusing on the actual curriculum, not the supplement. And HMH kind of recommended that as well. You know, we asked questions about that because we were concerned that teachers might rely too heavily on the technology pieces when curriculum is new. You know, when it's new and it's uncomfortable, technology is sometimes easier than the actual curriculum materials. And we didn't want people to rely too heavily on those technology pieces.
Like start using it in October then, or what's?
Yes, yeah, after training. So anytime after September 28th. Looking forward to the following year, do you want to maybe go back to the rainbow chart? Sorry. So looking forward to a year from today, when we're standing up here having this conversation, our plan for the following year is then to move down to tiered system of supports. So we'll be continuing to work on quality instruction, but looking at like what we call tier 2 and tier 3, kids that need interventions and additional supports. How can we perfect what we're doing with those tools?
That can include enrichment too.
Yes, yeah, enrichment and advancement. Enrichment and advancement for more higher performing kids. Do you guys have any questions?
I don't really have a question, just a comment. You know, Steve indicated that, like, I've been here for a while, we've seen this, but this is the most thorough explanation of what you guys are doing, and I appreciate that. Like, it helps us do our job better.
And I do gotta make sure we recognize, we picked up the work that Josh led and started last year with the presentation, but the one person that's been real consistent through this process and the change is Heather. She has really led this accreditation process through this year. And so she's been great with this, and
And she's not only done it for our district, but she also serves as a facilitator for KISA for some of the other smaller local districts. So we talked last year and I had her go through that training so that we knew what we were getting ourselves into, so we would be better prepared. And so Heather's done a really good job of kind of being our our go-to person for KISA.
April 21st, she's gonna lead a group of, where we go in a group of 4 down to Sublette. She's going down to Sublette to lead a group of 4.
Or you get in Holcomb.
She's gonna lead them through the process as their facilitator. And we did receive, though, some really nice feedback from the state in that there weren't a ton of districts that did resource allocation as their fundamental. And they'd asked us to present at the state conference at the end of July for other districts who are interested in pursuing that structure. Most districts chose things like the quality instruction in there, but they chose teacher training because they were doing letters anyway for all of their teachers. And it was something they were already doing. Well, we'd already finished with letters for our teachers. And so we chose something that was a little different. We chose something outside of the beaten path with resource allocation. And so we got great feedback. And that goes to a lot of the leadership that Heather provided over the last year that Josh started the process. She helped us get it across the finish line. And then we'll get a little bit of kudos in presenting at the state conference at the end of July with it. So after this presentation, if there's feedback from you, we'll take that and put it into our plan, and then we have to submit next year's plan by the end of the month to KSDE, and then they will let us know early summer whether it's approved and we get our accreditation and things for next year. Yep.
And I think the format that you presented it is a really good reminder that, you know, when people complain about there's problems or they're unhappy with the school or whatever, that there has to be a process and you can't set 20 goals and accomplish them at one time. You really do have to start here and then move up the rungs as you go. So it's a great visual example to us that we're working on it and we're better than we were yesterday, and tomorrow we're going to be better than we are today.
And we really felt that just that laser focus on getting the right curriculum adopted and a more rigorous one in the hands of our teachers, that was so important. Now the next big step is making sure that we're doing it right, because we don't want to take all the money that we spent in January towards adoption of this curriculum and throw it down the drain. We want to make sure that it gets done right and that our kids see gains as a result of it. So it's got to be our big thing, our big focus.
I think an additional piece is we documented a lot of what we did over the past year in our ELA adoption, and now have a process that we'll use. We will be going through science textbook adoption over the next year. We're basically following that same roadmap. So that process has been laid out, it's been documented. We're just updating, you know, instead of ELA curriculum, it's science curriculum, but we're going to go through that same process with our science teachers in selecting high quality instructional materials for those classes as well.
Questions, comments?
So I was looking through the scope and sequence. I love this. I love that you provided this. I just want to make sure that I'm clear on because I'm still trying to wrap my head around this, the measures of progress. So like our 6 months target and our 1 year target, like what specifically are those targets? How are we going to be evaluated on that?
Well, we set out, like, for this next year, we're setting out our map for how we're training teachers. Did we do what we said we were going to do? Did we have those PD sessions? Did we get all of that done? We also are going to set out some action steps for the training of administration and the changing of our walkthrough tool to show whether or not teachers are using these materials. We're basically going to be evaluated by 6 months in, are we doing what we said we were going to do? Did we just blow smoke in April and not do it? Or this is basically holding us accountable to what we said we were going to do when we got our goal approved.
Just didn't know if it needed to be like a SMART goal or anything.
No, they don't make you do that, but they make you set your action plan out and your steps. And then someone from KSDE comes out in September and says, okay, show me what you've done. Did you get it done? You said you were gonna do this, you said you were gonna do this, did you get it done? And then what's your plan?
It's okay, it's a timeline that you gotta check all these things off by these dates, so.
Right, yeah, I'm like, all elementary teachers will follow the district pacing timeline and complete designated units by X date. Or we have not set like the specific date is.
Not yet.
All right.
That's part of the work that we're gonna do before
Okay,
April
so
twenty-seventh.
this is still working. Yes.
Still a work
You're
in
just
progress.
explaining
Yep.
how it works. Cool,
Yep.
okay. Just making sure I didn't miss
We're,
something.
and really kind of explaining what our big focus areas for next year are gonna be. That it's going to be the quality instruction still, but it's gonna be training the teachers and training the administrators too, making sure they know when they walk into a classroom what they should be seeing.
I appreciate that. That was like one of my big concerns with getting a new curriculum and I'm. I don't have a lot
Our
of.
6-month targets really just be summarizing for KSDE when they're here, what we did on those training days and what we accomplished, so. I mean, it's not like SMART goals that they request data.
Okay.
That comes later. In another year, we'll be expected to have data in student test results
Yeah.
that support that.
The first one will be after the 27-28 school year when a 5-year measure of your graduation rate gets added to all of the accountability pieces. Is your 5-year average equal up to or showing progress to gain where the state is? And so every year we'll have to report a 5-year graduation rate average. And then the next one will be student performance on state assessments. Are we showing progress there? So eventually they're going to add in the SMART goals, the numbers, and they're starting with graduation rate and then they'll work towards state assessments. Question? If there's ever anything else that you need to know about that or just curious about as you look through, reach out to Mr. Guyman. He'll get it to me and we'll get you your information.
Thank you.
Move on to item G1, the meal change policy, Director of Nutrition, Tracy Johnson.
Tracy.
Oh, or Jessica Nother.
Right at the start of the meeting, she wasn't gonna be here. So. I do not need that. Thanks. Okay, this is just a first read, in your board packets. She sent the board policy update, so for USDA and KSDE, they just recommend that we do a weighted average calculation for pricing. Comparatively to other districts, our meal prices are lower than most. So Tracy and her crew are recommending a 25-cent per meal across all grade level increase. The policy that she attached lays out the communications that we have at certain balances when notes are sent home, when calls are made. It also just updates the amounts to the current amounts based on per meals. And then it also defines our refund procedures for those that leave the district or become reduced or free after they have a balance in their accounts. Also want to note that being said, we do provide alternate meals when they drop below a certain balance and get in the negative. But she also works with principals and counselors for those students that are negative but maybe don't qualify for free or reduced. We do have an account that we help those students out as well. Main reason for this is just to keep our cash flow in our nutrition account. I think I told you before that we normally don't have to provide any general fund money into our nutrition fund. That being said, I think this will be the first year since I've been here that we're gonna have to do that. We started this year with just a little over $1 million in that. We're down to 150,000 as of March 1st. I haven't done March's cash summary yet. And our student sales for last year were at 500,000. So, and we already have, I think, 365,000 of that put into the nutrition account. So not a whole lot more coming in. We do see a really high number of unpaid lunch fees across the district.
But again, we never cut off meals, so I think that's important to note. Again, first read, and if you have any questions, I will attempt to answer them for you.
Do you have a dollar amount of how many outstanding? I mean, I know that fluctuates and changes.
So the district, was a 2022, they wiped all fees and started fresh when Colleen was here, and we're already over $500,000 in the hole on unpaid lunch fees. So we don't send people to collections.
That's not just lunch fees though, right, Jess? That's.
Yeah, thank you. That's tech, lunch, and textbook fees. So, yeah. We do not take people to collections currently because it costs us more to pay those fees than it is that we're gonna get them. So what we've done is we've encouraged, I just talked to secretaries, we had an enrollment meeting and just encouraged them to send statements home with students when they come to enroll for next year to remind them of past due fees. Really trying to target the elementaries because it just rolls, and by the time they get to the high school where there are some repercussions, the balances are so high that it is a burden. Whereas if they could pay $20 and we stay on top of it, $20, $30 at the elementary level, it doesn't become $400 at the high school level. The only thing we can really do is we can prevent students from doing things that aren't curriculum based, prom, dances of that nature, field trips that aren't curriculum based. We don't currently do that. We don't do anything at the elementary level. We don't want to harm the students, so.
Do we call the parents at all?
Yes, so after notes don't work, then it becomes phone calls.
This is that, our district is, low spectrum compared to other districts. If we increase it by 25 cents per meal, now how do we compare?
We're still gonna probably be on the low end.
Even after this price increase?
Because like my speculation would be that they also increase at this time of year, so I think we'll probably stay like comparatively low.
How often do we change the prices?
Annually.
Every year, okay.
We increased it last year.
I don't think it was quite a quarter though. I don't think we did it that much.
We usually raise it a little bit every year, usually goes up a little bit.
Yep, and I would just imagine that fuel prices, food prices are gonna hammer us as well next year. Things don't get better soon.
I'd like to see some kind of initiative to try to recoup some of the debt. I mean, I know we're never gonna get it all, but.
Yep. Yeah, and like we're very open to board direction on how to handle those past due balances.
So we've encouraged secretaries to even put our families on payment plans, so yeah, you can't pay the whole thing right now, but $5 a month kind of thing. We do a lot of different things with families trying to get them. So yeah, we're definitely open to other ideas if you guys as board members have, because the struggle is real.
Like I said, the only things that we can do they can't be tied to curriculum. So you could prevent a kid from going to the pumpkin patch. I mean, I don't know that that's what we want to do.
Yeah, you're robbing Peter to pay Paul, and
Yes, it is something that we're it's like a lose-lose situation. We're not sure.
So what happens if they don't pay all the way through elementary to high school? What happens? They still graduate along the way, or?
So, I mean, we could prevent them from walking at graduation, but we can't hold their diploma. I think, did we not let them go to prom this year?
If it was those fees or if it was other things like parking fees and things like that.
Yeah, we can stop. We haven't ever been real aggressive with it, but we can stop all those secondary participating in activities, going to prom, going to homecoming dances, those sorts of things, going to the pumpkin patch or non-academic related things. We can stop them. That generally at the high school has been our best bet, is if you say you can't go to prom or homecoming, and all of a sudden fees get paid pretty quick. we could go as far as to say you don't get tickets to graduation. You can go to graduation, but you know, there's a whole,
We don't let them purchase we let seniors purchase their iPads at market value when they graduate. We don't let them purchase the iPad unless they have paid all their outstanding fees. So sometimes where the iPad may be $125 at fair market value after 4 years of use, they may pay a couple times that in their outstanding fees before we let them purchase.
Casey said that normally, like you said, it becomes more expensive to pay their fees and pay that market price than just to go buy a brand new one. So they opt not to purchase their iPad through the district. How much does like the lunch and breakfast program cost the district? Like, it hasn't been costing us anything. It's going to
Because it's
start.
covered
Yeah.
by all of the,
So federal and state money, state aid plus fees have historically like made the nutrition account flush. So, but it's just not gonna be the case anymore.
okay, so.
Partially to the unpaid fees,
We got hit
increasing costs.
The last couple of years, we've been having
Equipment.
pretty big equipment purchases that we've had to.
Yeah, I think like 140,000, we just, to update some equipment, this year. I do know that, probably in May, I'm gonna bring you, kind of a restructure of the nutrition and we're gonna close a couple positions, so that'll help.
want to talk about the reduced.
Oh, yes, so up after COVID, where at COVID, everybody ate free, and then we left it free for, if you qualified for reduced, we still gave it to you for free. So we were only getting the 40-cent reimbursement for that meal. For reduced, we weren't making them pay anything. And then we also gave all breakfast for free and we continued that. So next year we are going back to fully paid breakfast and reduced breakfast, depending on your qualifications, and then reduced lunch will pay for their lunches.
How much is that expected to bring in then? Do we have like an estimate of that? Sorry, I probably could have asked you this before.
Yeah, I'd have to look into it.
And our reduced numbers district-wide are not huge. They're
Really not.
10-12%.
Most of ours are either
Our
free
kids
or
are either
paid.
full pay or they're free, most of them.
We contract our meals out.
I don't know if they've looked into that before I was in this position. There is OPA is a company that does that. I don't know that we've ever looked into that. I think probably because it's always been, like, we were actually 3 years ago on a spin down plan because the state said we had too much money in there. And so it just turned that quickly. So it may be something that we want to look into to see if it's more feasible for us. So, if you have other questions, shoot me an email, shoot Josh an email and I'll get you an answer on that. If you have some great ideas on how to collect these fees, that's much appreciated too. So, thank you.
Item G2, the Board of Education is asked to consider and approve the addition of the following new course and additional credit to extend existing courses. Dr. Duncan?
Here on behalf of Curriculum Council and bringing you some of the new things that went through that last month. So a couple of different things. A lot of this has to do with the restructuring of some of the CTE pathways at the state level. So I know I've been talking about that like every time I come see you, but this first one is not. They're requesting to add some additional credit to the adding oral communications credit to the agricultural leadership and communications class. So that's one thing that they're requesting. The rest of these have to do with some CTE changes and college changes. So the fashion and interior design CTE pathway has changed and they no longer have that pathway. And so we'd like to make sure that we still have a clothing and sewing class where students are able to learn how to sew and make clothing. The other one is the teaching observation was embedded in a pathway that had to do with the teaching classes, and now that pathway has changed, and so we'd like to pull that out so that it's its own class where students who are interested in the teaching and career pathway are able to go do observations. That is what that class is about. And then a couple of the other ones that they're requesting are college classes, so the criminal procedures elective, and then the robotics class. There are 4 classes that are in this block at the college level, and we already have 3 approved, so we just wanted to get that last one approved that was missing to complete that block. Also at Curriculum Council, we were discussing that it might be helpful with all the different changes that were going on, that we have some visuals about what those pathways look like. And so we're gonna pass that down. This is just a reference for you. It's not related to the new course request, but just as a reference so that you can kind of see visually what those look like. All I have. Did you have any questions for me?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, item G3, Jenny Barker Elementary School flooring.
Good evening, board. I think the next 5 are me, so bear with me. Luckily it cooled down, so maybe you guys will actually approve something. So first one is, and at the last board meeting, we told you we would put out, we were putting out for bid both carpet and flooring at Jenny Barker and at Plymell, which has been a deferred project. The first is Jenny Barker. We did put out bids, received 3 qualified bids. Happy to see we had J&M include a bid here locally. Stewart and Associates out of Wichita put in a bid, and then Star Commercial, who already has our Alta Brown and ESC contract, put in the bid. We bid it 2 different ways. We bid hallways and corridors as the base bid, and then classrooms and offices as alternate A, or alternate bid 1. We had, I believe, $54,000 budgeted at Jenny Barker. The total on the base bid plus alternate A, lowest qualified bid is from Star Commercial Flooring for $64,982.24. I do need to add a caveat, and obviously, this one I'm not asking for action tonight, and actually there'll be more information that'll need to follow up between now and when y'all approve it at your meeting later in the month. We did find that there is an asbestos abatement that has to be done at both schools. We anticipated with the information that when we hired the company to come out and do the assessment, we made a rough guess of what he was kind of telling us before he got the assessment back to us, and we were guesstimating that it would be under $20,000 at both campuses to do the abatement. However, after he did the assessment, he is recommending that we do a full abatement at both campuses. And we did get a quote from him. I didn't bring those quotes forward, but both of them are above $20,000 for both campuses. That doesn't mean that, and what we're in the process of doing right now, and we'll have for you by your next meeting, is a full set of quotes. And we've got about 4 other companies we're going to reach out to. We're going to send them that assessment, have them come in and give us a quote. Hopefully, best case scenario, we get some quotes that are under that $20,000 bidding threshold. I also, though, believe that, and we might want to talk with the admin team and possibly the attorney, I do believe if we go out and get quotes off of a common practice, which is asbestos abatement, we could count those as technically a bidding process as long as we keep it professional and done right. So I'm hoping that, first of all, I hope we get bids back and they're under 20 and we don't actually have to worry about it, and we'll keep you updated. All that said, too, part of, and all of these bidders were aware, they were to give us their dollar figure for demoing that project. And there'll be a credit back on both of these bids when we do the abatement. Questions on that?
Is the asbestos the tile, the floor tiles?
The tile and glue. Yeah. And we're also still working with, I visited with Nick Nemechek. We're looking at a couple of different options. He even mentioned that at some places they've done some encapsulation of that. We'll look at that. I'm a bigger believer that if we've got that, we need to probably properly get it all abated and just have it clean. But I will feed you more information as I get it in the coming weeks. But right now, I mean, my recommendation would be to accept the lowest qualified bid from Star Commercial Flooring, $64,982.24. Questions on Jenny Barker? Next is Plymel. Same thing, or similar thing. We had $50,000 budgeted. Similar bids came in, kind of stayed in the same ballpark. The lowest qualified bid is, or responsible bid, will recommend Star Commercial Flooring for this one as well at a total of $65,113.23. And similar situation with the asbestos. Questions there?
Make sure I'm correct. 20,000 for both schools or 27,000?
The asbestos abatement?
Yeah.
We had estimated that one was gonna be, this one would be about 20 and the other would be about 15. But the quote we have in is substantially higher than that. I don't want to give that quote out because if we have other businesses that might be listening, they can hear that quote.
I just didn't know if it was individually or together.
Just individually. Good question. Any other questions on Plymel? Similar scenario, I'll feed that information to Josh and we'll get it out to you guys.
How do we fund that?
So Brandon's got some other things that are coming in under budget, so.
Bargain shopping. Next item is, and a little shift in our focus. You guys approved us to bid out the roof at Georgia Matthews and approved us to bid out section D at Florence Wilson. The roof at Georgia Matthews became problematic because moisture in that roof from when it was put on the last time. Fortunately, we haven't had a lot of leaks in that roof. It is the next roof in the series to be replaced. However, we have found that the gypsum deck would have to be replaced as well. And not even getting into the weeds of how much more that would add on to the cost, it would simply put it from a 2-month project to about a 6-month project because all the conduit is attached to that deck. We would end up having to probably do a remodel with it as well. So it's a problematic situation. So we've shifted gears, and under the threshold of 20,000, I did an amendment with the Florence Wilson bid and went ahead and bid out section A, which is the whole north part of that school with the gymnasium included. Between that square footage and the square footage at the band room at Horace Good, that kind of makes up for the amount about the same amount of roof that we were going to do at Georgia Matthews. So we're shifting gears a little bit. We haven't moved forward with a bid on the band room yet at Horace Good, but what I have for you this evening, we were able to amend this bid. We extended the bidding process from the 2nd of April to the 9th of April. We got 4 active bids, competitive bids, felt good about that. Our budget for section D alone was $207,000. The budget for Georgia Matthews was $575,000. But as we bid this process out, both section D, which is the base bid, and section A, which is alternate, the total responsible bid, if you added those two together, we got a low bid of $211,000 from Diamond Roofing out of Dodge City. And that's the one that staff would recommend moving forward with. And I know on the agenda, it says, this is a first read. If at all possible, I'd like you to consider possibly approving that tonight. As there is roofing supplies that need to be secured to make sure that we can get this put fit into the summer. But both D and A basically came in right around the budget figure that we had from GMC and just to do section D. I felt really good about the bids that we got.
And we've used Diamond before and have been happy with them.
Diamond's done quite a few projects for us. Since I've been here, they've only been coming in and doing some repairs. Their pencil wasn't sharp enough on a few other, roofing bids that we did, but this one came in as the lowest. Yes. Diamond and, which Meridian we used at SITS, and Meridian is an active bidder, but Weathercraft, DV Douglas, and Diamond are the three local roofing companies that when we go out and do roofing assessments and just kind of put our heads together, we invite all three of those and they bring a representation every time. Questions there? You want to take action tonight on that, or do you want to wait till Thursday or the end of the month?
Now, tell us again what you're wanting action.
I would recommend approving the lowest responsible bid of $211,000 from Diamond Roofing for sections A and D of Florence Wilson.
Okay, so I just want to make sure we're not doing anything with the Georgia Matthews roof. Instead, we're putting that aside and we're moving forward and, okay.
Yes, so pretty much deferring it like we have a few other projects in the past, but this one is because of a timing situation. We couldn't get it done this summer. And we probably just need to take a harder look at that whole project. Get an assessment of cost. And
So instead, we're gonna do section D and section A of Florence
yes,
Wilson.
yes, yep.
But those came in at the amount we had budgeted for the one section.
The 207,000 budgeted from GMC, and usually they typically it's a worst case scenario, total tear off. And in that area D that we're talking about is a total tear off. The other one, we had a roof scan done on A. We won't have to do. We're going to fix a few areas where all of those sister schools, when we got the VRF systems, there's some patching that needs to take place of where old units used to be. And so we're doing a lot of that due diligence when we do, and that was a lot of what was on here. Other than that, though, it's just going to be a recovery.
This is the savings that we're gonna use to make the asbestos. Well, we don't know for sure what that costs. We're trying to get bids for that, more for the abatement.
Right.
Brandon's looking for action on item G5 if somebody wishes to make a motion.
I mean, if we waited until the next Thursday or anything like that, and how much does that throw off timing?
So just if we were approved, it would allow this company to start gathering up supplies and materials that it'll take for the job.
So down here it says, if something happens, he quoted it wrong, not to exceed 15%. What happens if it's worse than what they originally thought?
Are you at in the actual bid?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's set aside. There is some unit prices. They were actually low on the unit price too, of 5 foot for wood blocking and then $25 a square foot for metal deck. And that goes into the wet areas. If they find wet areas, just patching those and repairing those. typically on a recover, we're gonna add that just to cover us, but I mean, we're expecting not to exceed 15% overage. So we're 15% of 211,000. That's a worst case scenario.
Yeah, just make sure they want
Yes, sir.
more money.
And we can wait until Thursday or at the end of the month.
I was gonna make
Next
a
item.
motion. I guess we're gonna.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is, the water heater at the high school. This is an arising need. It wasn't in the long range plan. As we discussed when we put this out for bid, the hot water heaters at the high school have been a pretty persistent issue, since they were put in. Has two systems. One's supposed to kick in when the other one is not, carrying the load. The only problem is there's only been one that's consistently worked, and it's carried the load for 13 years and the other one hasn't. And so we had this engineered, had it looked at, and bid out. We had anticipated kind of ballparking a $60,000 to $80,000 range for this particular project. We got two bids in. We tried to get four, but we did not receive bids from two. And the lowest responsible bid was Tetro Plumbing here locally at $118,397.
Never worked. Second one's never worked.
It has been problematic, and the company that put it in originally had been out a time or two to work on it, but it's never worked like it was fully intended to do. And this is doing away with that technology and that system that's there. And basically what we're gonna do is put a series of on-demand heaters in this. I believe there's 8 or 9. And they kind of just rotate out throughout the system. It's got a smart read system within its unit that it doesn't overload and work one versus the other. It'll kind of just rotate it around and cycle through where the units should be balanced out more. Questions?
Where would you get the money for this from, Jennifer?
So I was just looking, like,
Jennifer walked in.
I know.
Sorry, Jennifer walked in and I said Jennifer.
So like other planned projects have come in under budget, like the Horace Good, bells and intercoms came in under budget. The A. Hubert flooring came in under budget. So just some various projects have come in under budget this year that allow for funds to. And
Next projects under $200,000 under budget.
yeah, and last year we were, we came in way under budget because we pushed the A. Hubert HVAC.
With $1 million budget for Bernadine Sitz roof is $459,000. I mean, I guess we could put those numbers together, but over the last
So
3 years.
yeah, basically I give Brandon like an overall budget and he kind of itemizes it from the long range facilities plan. But there's always cushion built in for things like the 15% or these items like the hot water heater that we just weren't expecting.
The other thing you'll get, roofs as a prime example, we have a plan of multiple roofs every year because we know not all of the roof projects are gonna go off as planned. We're under the assumption that there's gonna be one like Georgia Matthews that doesn't end up happening because something in the process is messed up. George Matthews is an extreme example, so we always try to have backup roofs that we, like section B, that we move into the queue, so we have another roof project. So we stay on time with our summer roof projects and don't get behind on those.
What's the warranty on this? Cause I won't be 13 years down the road. And the yo-yo still isn't fixing it.
I'll have to find out for sure on the warranty, but I'm gonna guess. Well, I'll find out for sure.
I will be shocked if it's 13 years, Jake.
I get it, but that doesn't seem right. Seems like we got two.
5 years would be shocking to me.
So I think the issue, when we moved in that building, the commissioning of the hot water heater was done internally as opposed to using and when we commissioned it ourselves as a district all the way back then, we didn't commission it correctly. So there were warranty issues from the beginning because of the way that we commissioned the hot water heater. Having been at the high school and taken a lot of cold showers in my time, it's been since almost day one that, because you have one huge hot water heater, well, two that are pushing all the way to the freshman academy, all the way to the yellow academy. It's a lot. I mean, that's 380,000 square feet. Those centralized hot water heaters are trying to cover.
That's why I make sure we're not.
Yeah.
Do you remember who the contractor was that installed that?
No. Sure, we can find out.
I'm just curious.
Next.
Yeah, G7.
G7 is the Garfield Early Childhood HVAC project. This was brought to y'all to present or have GMCN bid out with the help of ICE. Actually early on and prior to this, we had put together the budget with the help of ICE and our estimated budget with the help of ICE and Tetro. But the estimated budget was 1.1 million. We bid this out two ways, base bid of the units on the old portion of the school. And then the alternate A was, or alternate one was, the newer units, which are from 2009, but AON units that have been problematic since we put them in. So got two bids back. You can see the list of who it was sent to, but only got two bids back. They were required to come to the pre-bid meeting too, so we only had two there. I feel fortunate that we actually got two bids with everything that's going on. But two, like I said, we have 1.1 million budgeted. The lowest responsible bid is from Tetro Plumbing. Total bid of $898,127. And our recommendation would be to just go ahead and do all of those units with that under budget bid. And Garfield will be in pretty good shape. They'll have all new HVAC units. They'll have a new roof. Flooring will be next there, but. Questions?
What do you think we had budgeted for that deal?
The last project, 1.1 million. And I can pull you guys, kind of the last couple of years of projects that we had slated and how they came in. I've got all that information I can get to you.
How long is the bid good for?
Typically 60 days.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Brandon.
G8, the boundary study. Deputy Superintendent Drew Tone.
We're steadily marching down the road to grade reconfiguration. With that being said, prior to us moving into the new grade reconfiguration in the fall of 2028, we need to have new boundaries drawn. We need to reconfigure the district to match going K5, 6, 8 in the middle school. In order to do that, we need to send out RFP for companies to come in and do a demographic study on the community and figure out what lines best fit new boundaries for a K5, 6, 8 configuration with 13 elementary schools and 2 middle schools. We're not in our request for tonight, all we're asking is to send out a request for proposal for companies to send us proposals for what they believe best fits Garden City Public Schools and the Garden City community. We're not requesting any dollars at this point. We're just requesting the ability to send out the RFP to a number of companies and doing our due diligence to figure out what's going to work best for our new grade configuration. You guys should have a couple memos. If we can get action tonight, we'll get the RFP sent out tomorrow. We'll get it posted on the website tomorrow. That'll be open all the way through May 1st. We'll collect the RFPs at that point. We'll review the RFPs and then we'll bring them to a recommendation to the board on May 8th for you guys to see a first read on the different companies that are able to do this. I'm sure there's questions, so I'll take time to answer questions.
How many bids you got when you put out this boundary study last time? Do you remember how many came back?
I believe we only had one that came back. We've found a couple of other companies that also do it. There's not a ton of companies in the state of Kansas. One company in the state of Kansas that does this, just because there's not very many districts with multiple schools, multiple boundaries. When you think of us, it's us, Dodge City, Liberal on the west half of the state, and then Wichita, Kansas City schools, DeSoto schools. So there's not a ton of companies that do this. RSP is the company we used last time. They're the only company that we're aware of in the state of Kansas that does it, but we have found companies outside of the state of Kansas that are willing to work inside the state of Kansas. So I'm sure we'll reach out to RSP again, but we'll make sure to reach out to other companies outside of RSP to look at this. It will be nice to see what other companies have to offer. Maybe we go through this whole process and we go back with RSP. I'm not sure where it's going to end up, but it will be nice to see more than one company. In the past, Josh, and correct me if I'm wrong, the last 3 boundary studies that we've done have been with RSP.
I know they did the one in 2012 when we opened the new high school. They did that.
And I did the one prior to that as well. They were under a different name at the time, but it was the same company.
Should we spend on RFP study a couple years ago? Did we get everything that
30, I want to say 32,000-ish.
2?
But yeah, we got everything that.
We have all our data, if that's what you're asking, yeah. This will be a little more straightforward than what that was. We've got a lot more direction for what this is going to be. Last time there wasn't a whole lot of direction. It turned into what it turned into. This time we know that there's going to be 13 elementary schools. We know there's going to be 4 one-track schools. There's going to be 9 two-track schools. And then the 2 middle schools are both going to be about the same size. We know that there's going to be equal feeders into both schools. So a lot of that back end work that caused a lot of angst within the community won't be there on this one. This one, a lot of it's just going to be figuring out the birth rates, figuring out which parts of Garden City are growing, figuring out where the housing is, where the housing's being developed, figuring out where the babies are being born, you know, what part of town are they being born into, and making those estimates on what kindergarten is going to look like, you know, 5 years from now for that kindergarten class, you know, 3 years from now for that kindergarten class. So it's not gonna be the scope that it was last time. I will tell you off the bat, it's not gonna be near what that was. There's still gonna have to be community involvement because we're talking about where we're putting kids in elementary school specifically. So we always want to have community involvement in that discussion, but it's not gonna be near the discussion as what it was last time.
Then 1,000
$100,050 last time. And it looks like the time before that, we paid them 45,000, so.
2012.
Yeah, it was fiscal year 11 that came out, preparing for the next year was 45,109. And then this last time was 100,050. So yeah, I don't know if the expectations were more.
I wanted reference, I mean, to see what the bid would come back. And if we had different expectations or we're asking for different things.
So where are these other companies out of?
Josh talked to one, there's one out of Denver, there's one that Josh talked to out of
California.
California.
They've got, I think they've got a couple of offices, but I think their main base is out of California.
It's a very niche, thing. There's not a ton of demographic companies doing school demographics. Most demographic companies are doing city demographics. They're doing state demographics. School demographics, is a little unique. Josh and I, when we get out of, when we retire, we know what we're gonna retire and start doing.
Yeah, there's not a lot. There really isn't.
Yeah.
As we've kind of looked, I know, kind of talking, I reached out to KSB to kind of, and USA Kansas both to kind of get names and directions, and you know, the company that we talked to out of California and RSP are the two that have done the most business in the state of Kansas.
Bill Wilson,
Wichita Public
had a guy out of
Schools,
Denver.
With MGT is the company out of California. Wichita Public Schools use them. I think most of the districts in the area and the state have done RSP. And RSP did a good job for us when they did our boundary study. Well, you know.
Yeah. And if they were just drawing lines, I don't think things would have went off the rails.
I think
they
they
would
kind
have
of
been fine probably.
I think they kind of took a little heat for stuff that wasn't necessarily.
Tonight, we're just approving.
All we're doing is just so I can fit out the There's no commitment, there's no financial commitment, there's no, we can get them all back and say, we don't like any of these. Drew, we're gonna pay you $100,000 for you to go do it.
I'm gonna ask this, just tell me if I'm crazy, but do we have to hire somebody to do this, or is this something, we have some really smart people here in the district?
Yeah, we do, have some really bright people, none of them with that expertise. When you start talking about migration patterns inside of cities, it gets, now I have talked to Lana Duvall, with the chamber and Shannon Dick, and just had those conversations about, hey, we're getting ready to do this. We're probably gonna need you guys to be more involved in the process. And at least getting them more involved in the process. But even for them, that's a big ask. So we'll see what we get back. We don't have to have any commitment to any of it. We can reach out tomorrow, send it out, start kind of digging through it. And if we get back something we like, we get back something we like. If we don't, then.
I also think cost is gonna be a big piece of that too. What's that gonna cost?
And what we have from RSP from the previous, why won't it work?
So the reason the prior RSP won't work is because they did draw lines for us. The problem with the lines is the lines were with a reflection of elementary schools, not with keeping all the elementary schools and the number of tracks in each elementary school. They were really trying to optimize building usage. The way we're going is not going to optimize building usage. It's going to equalize building usage. So we're kind of going a different direction with all schools being 2 or 1 track schools. So the way they configured the lines, you would have had Sitz and Stones and VO and Florence Wilson all being bigger 3-track schools, and those other schools compressing down. This balances everything out more equally across the district. So the way they were drawing lines reflected those 3-track schools, those bigger 3-track schools.
So it would be specific with RSP if that it's just boundary lines, whereas last time we weren't.
Yes.
there's their chance the price might be lower because their job is similar.
Students, so.
Okay.
We hope, and we hope that some of the data is still relevant. Now, the one thing I will say is if it's not RSP doing it, they're gonna say, we're not taking, I would almost assume they're gonna say, we don't trust the data that they've come up with, which I get, they wanna come up with, if
But I
they're.
will say their numbers have been pretty spot on with what they projected, pretty close.
Yeah. And again, maybe it is RSP that comes in and we're comfortable with that too, depending on where the bids come in.
Mr. President, I move to approve the boundary study proposals.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Third, fourth. Jacob, he was first, I think.
Thank you.
The battle royale between the two for the seconds tonight.
All in favor, raise your hand. Oh, same, motion carries. Oh, Mark.
We got Mark on camera now. There's Mark. Bud?
Hanging in there.
Oh.
Okay, item G9, the Board of Education is asked to consider and approve a memorandum of understanding between Garden City Public Schools and Sparkwell Incorporated for the 26-27 and 27-28 school year in the amount of $30,000.
Yep, hey, I'm back. In November, a lot of the principals and I talked about the success we had across the district as far as our graduation rate. We also talked about the fact that we have so many different programs working in our buildings, helping to meet student needs. And one of those is Sparkwheel. Sparkwheel has operated in a partnership with Garden City High School since the 2010-2011 school year under the original name as Communities and Schools. Now they're Sparkwheel. They provide assistance to students and families encountering obstacles that will impact their success towards graduation, that the school just can't address. We're not equipped to address some of those needs. Sparkwheel employs has a caseload of over 100 students at Garden City High School with what they call a student support coordinator that provides targeted assistance to students and families that have issues with things like academics, clothing needs, food insecurity, hygiene needs, and a whole lot more. Things that necessarily, they're going to get in the way potentially of them attending school regularly or being successful when they get there, but that the school isn't equipped necessarily to address. So it is really just what the original name says. It's bringing the community and community resource into schools. Students are referred by social workers, counselors, teachers, and administrators. Sparkwheel helps funnel community resources to them and their families with a lengthy track record of success and support. Sparkwheel also helps coordinate and bring the community into the schools with an activity entitled Future Finance Now for all of our ninth graders. It's a career and budgeting exercise during which students are assigned a job and a career and are asked to budget and pay bills within that job and career. The activity actually covers 2 days and takes a lot of community members into the high school to help with the Future Finance Now. And that's always kind of a neat thing to talk to a freshman and say, well, I wanted to drive a Corvette and live in a big house, but my job I got assigned was a teacher. Do you know how much teachers make? Yeah, I know. And I've got 3 kids. Do you know how much diapers cost? I was like, yeah, kid. You know, and so it's a neat exercise in budgeting and careers. And it takes a lot of community members coming into the freshman academy to do that. They do it about this time every year in April. All of that's coordinated by Sparkwheel and their community coordinator. As a former principal at Garden City High School, I can speak firsthand to the good work being done by Sparkwheel and communities and schools throughout my time at Garden City High School. The cost associated with Sparkwheel is a flat $15,000 per year for our district. The majority of the costs are paid by the Kansas legislature and also support from business and industries throughout Kansas. So there's a lot of industry and business support and our legislature really has supported Spark Wheel. That way we can have a full-time employee at Garden City High School helping provide services to these kids for only the cost of $15,000. All we have to pay is $15,000 a year and give them a room and a key to the room, and they go. And so it really does help influence things like our graduation rate and some of the student success by, as I said, bridging the gap between student needs and family needs and getting the community, as it says, communities into the schools. So we ask tonight for your continued support of that program through the approval of the MOU. So, yep. Any questions about Spark Wheel? I can try to answer.
So they're just in the high school?
They're just in the high school right now. Communities and schools is only there. Yep.
Thanks, sir. G10, the Board of Education is asked to consider and approve the 26-27 open seat capacities for non-resident enrollment. Drew Tone.
So open seat capacities, back in 2022, the state passed, the state legislature passed open enrollment. With doing that, what it did was it made every single school district go and publish the number of seats available inside their district, inside specific schools. Something unique about Garden City, and a lot of people don't realize this, we've always had open enrollment in Garden City, between Garden City and Holcomb. As long as students have been in good standing in the past, Holcomb has taken our kids and we've taken Holcomb's kids. So the legislature was doing this more for that half of the state because it's something that we'd always done. Generally, this would go on consent agenda, but there's a number of you guys that are new that have never really seen the process or heard about the process. What we have to do is every year publish the number of open seats that we have in schools that we're projecting to have for next year. In your board packet, you should have got a spreadsheet that kind of showed what our projected open enrollment was going to be in different schools. At the high school level, at the middle school level, we have plenty of space in our high school and middle schools. At the elementary level, we have to be a little more conservative because at the high school level, they have 7 or 8 periods a day. It's a lot easier to fit more students into that type of format. They also can have more students in a class than at the elementary level. At the elementary level, we try to be very efficient with our staffing. And so in doing so, we have become very efficient. But we have to be really cognizant of the number of kids that we let into specific buildings. As an example, Florence Wilson is a building that because of where it's located, it's always jam-packed full. We're always at near capacity of Florence Wilson. Jenny Barker used to be that school. It's not that school as much anymore, but we would never allow open capacity transfers into Jenny Barker. Other schools, Edith Sharman, as an example, Edith Sharman always has capacity. We know that that area of town that Edith Sharman is in is an older neighborhood with older people living there. There's not a lot of young people with families living in that boundary. So we know we always have capacity in the Edith Sharman boundary. So what we do is we sit down, we go through our current year's enrollment, we project what we think next year's enrollment in those schools is going to look like. Because of the timing of this, it is merely a projection. We haven't done our enrollment yet. We haven't finalized enrollment. No district in the state of Kansas has. So we have to take our best guess of what we're going to have seating wise in those schools. So that's what we do. We go in and we create a spreadsheet. We'll publish this spreadsheet to the district website, and that will show out of district people how many seats we have and in what schools. So if there's a student from Scott City that wants to come to Garden City and go to Horsegood Middle School, they can get on there and see, hey, they have room, projected to have room at Horsegood Middle School. Let's go ahead and transfer the kids to Garden City and send them to Horsegood Middle School. Or, hey, they have room over at Charles Stone's. Let's go ahead and transfer them over to Charles Stone's from Ingalls or wherever it may be. This is kind of the guiding document that shows parents where the space is available. We have to publish it every year. Like I said before, in the future and generally, unless we make changes, this will go on consent agenda because it's pretty much the same every year. I just wanted to get up in front of you guys and kind of explain to you what the capacity transfer seating capacity thing is so that you guys can ask questions or get a little more understanding of what it really is. So questions from you guys on what it is?
This is like just an estimate. Has it ever happened or is there a process for like, oh, the numbers are completely wrong? Has that ever happened where we've had to like change this or?
No, we're pretty good about estimating what specific schools are going to have. Like this year, we know next year we're gonna be down somewhere in between. I told Jessica an exact number the other day that I'm pretty sure it's going to be, but we know we'll be down in between 70 and 85. We're guessing next year students. So we'll see a reduction of that. We have a general idea of where that's going to come from. We've mapped out trends over the last decade, knowing from kindergarten to first grade, this is the percentage of students that we retain at Florence Wilson. This is the percentage that we retain at Jenny Wilson, at Charles Stone's, at Bernadine Sitz, at all these schools. We map that out pretty well. We have a pretty good idea of the retention data. We know that going from fourth to fifth grade, we see a decline in enrollment in those grades because parents don't like intermediate centers. That's why we're going to K-5 and 6-8. So we know we've mapped all that stuff out for years inside our district. So we're pretty good at guessing how many open seats we're gonna have available. It's not gonna be perfect. I'm probably gonna be off, 10, 12, 15 seats per grade level, but 10 to 12, 14 seats per grade level on 472 kids, we're pretty good.
The other thing too, I would say, Katie, is we don't know with exactly how many, so Drew always puts a little cushion in there for things like that too, so, yeah.
Yeah, so the timeline for this, just so you guys are aware, all of our people get to put their transfers in right now. So if you're in district, we opened up enrollment. When we opened up enrollment, you can put it, you can request your child be transferred at that point. The reason we do that is because we hope by the time we open this up on June 1, all of our Garden City people will have that opportunity to transfer if that's what they want to do prior to out of district people transferring in.
President, we approve the open seat capacity for non-residents.
Motion, is there a second?
Second. I will.
Amy seconds.
I like your glasses. It's pretty sweet.
Well, I thought I was gonna have to read some numbers, so I was like, I better bring them just in case.
Is there any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. All right, raise his hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, item H, open board discussions. Nathan, he's not here. Mark, you're up. If you have anything.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah, it's always a challenge trying to attend a meeting like this over the internet. So it was good to hear from the kids from Georgia Matthews. Looks like a good program. The AVID program that was presented tonight is really interesting as well. Hey, I wish I was there in person. It makes it a lot easier to participate in the meeting than it does sitting here looking at a little screen. But that's about all I got to say for tonight.
Okay, Jacob?
I want to say congrats to the wrestling team. That's a pretty big accomplishment. Some of the wrestlers won the state. It's always neat to see, especially for your school. The lighthouse leaders. I enjoy when kids take the initiative to want to be a leader for their school and their class. I feel like some of the kids that don't want to be leaders will start following the leader's role and start to get just want to do better for themselves. And, yeah, the Avid deal, I was really impressed with that. Like I could have used that in school. So, yeah, it was good.
Next, I'm gonna I'm about 85% missed the meeting, but, again, I appreciate everybody's hard work and I know we're keep moving forward. So that's all I got. Becca?
Echo just the congrats to the wrestling team. I mean, girls wrestling's kind of a new sport and burgeoning, so it's cool that we are the school to beat now in the state back-to-back champs. It's pretty cool. Avid and the other student programs that came in, the green schools, I didn't know what they did, so it's really neat to have them come in and explain what they do. Same, those wickerizing the assignments, it's good to teach kids, can't assume that they know how to take notes or organize their thoughts or organize, whether it's digital or handwritten, organize everything that they have and put those thoughts into organization. So also thank you to Brandon for all the different bids you're putting together. I know that's a heavy lift to get all those and organize them and bring them in front of us. So thank you to you. So that's it.
Robin?
Sometimes we get the agenda and it's 14 pages long. You're like, oh, really? But these are the meetings that I enjoy the most because I go home feeling like I learned something that I didn't know. I understand something about a program. I am always amazed at the kiddos that they are developing leadership, and I wish they would have had that when I was younger because I was surprised. I was a little backwards in the day. And so, I don't know, maybe I'd be obnoxious if I would have started in one of those back then, but I really appreciate the time that the district puts into preparing the meetings for us and the information they provide. It makes our job easier to do. So thank you, guys.
Katie?
I would like to congratulate the KNEA Student Expression Campaign winners. It takes a lot of courage and a lot of guts to stand up and speak about things that you're passionate about and injustices that you see in the world. In the same vein, thank you to all of the Avid students. We heard from a lot of really well-spoken students tonight. Just all of their public speaking skills. I was like, yes, look at all these young leaders that we're raising. So it's just great to hear from all of these kids and all of the things that they get to do and the ways that we're fostering their passions and their futures.
Josh?
Yeah, tonight was a great example of a lot of really good things that are going on in the district. We got to hear from a lot of great leadership things that are happening with our teachers and with our administrators, but also some really cool things that our kids are doing too. And so tonight was just a great night to see a lot of different things that are happening at different levels, at different buildings, at different places in the district. And I just think it shows that we have a phenomenal staff. They're doing a lot of really, really good things for our kids in Garden City. We're getting to the end of the school year. Counting this week, we're at 6 weeks. So state assessments are starting to wind down. There's just a lot of things that are going to start happening here in the next few weeks. We were talking about it in leadership today. We'll have graduations and we'll have the end of the year staff barbecue. We always have the senior awards. There's just a lot of things. So there'll be a lot of things that'll be coming to you all, inviting you to a lot of different things. So be prepared for that. So.
Thank you. Okay, item J, executive sessions. Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped one. The next regular board meeting will be on Thursday, April 30th at 5 p.m. here in the board meeting room of the Educational Support Center. Now, item J.
Do we know how long we need for?
What do you think? 20 minutes? 15? 15. Yeah, I don't think we'll be that long.
Well, 8:50. Mr. President, I move we go into executive session for 15 minutes to discuss possible litigation with an attorney pursuant to the exception for matters which would be deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship under COMA, beginning at 8:50, and the open meeting will resume in the board meeting room at 9:05. I'd like to invite Josh Guyman, Drew Tone, and Jennifer Cunningham to join us in executive session.
Is there a second? Moved and seconded. All in favor, raise your hand. Opposed, the same, motion carries.
Mark, I'll call you here in just a second.
Okay, thank you.